Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome in, welcome back to a brand new episode of Snaps. Sorry we missed you yesterday and that I missed you on Thursday. I don't think I did a very good job of communicating that. That's on me. But I went to Mexico for a former teammate's wedding. Shout out to my guy, Stephen Ridley. A former running back, ended up playing for the Patriots, class of 07 down there at LSU. Shout out. Great guy, great wedding. Him and his beautiful wife, Alexis. It was an excellent time. Really fantastic. Unfortunately, I really desperately wanted to come back here with some great Gronk stories. Like I made best friends with Gronk and all the guys. And I did not utter a single exchange with
Why
Gronk.
not?
I just didn't. I wasn't in the only kind of social setting I was in with the entire wedding. Because we didn't stay at the hotel that everybody stayed at. Was at the welcome dinner, but he wasn't at the welcome dinner. And then at the wedding itself, I talked about this morning, but it's just how I am. When I go to a wedding, I'm like a racehorse when you like put a racehorse in the pen before the doors open and you can see it and they're like stamping and they're champing and chomping at the bit and they're like desperately ready to run. That's me just waiting for the dance floor to open up. So when I tell you when the second, check your mic real quick, Aaron, but the second that we got done with eating and speeches and everything else, like the millisecond that dance floor opened up, I was on there and I don't think I left for the next 4 hours. That said, my wife had a Gronk interaction because me and my wife, we were getting dirty on the dance floor. I mean, freaky. I was like,
is that her free card right there? Is Gronk?
No, she has no idea who Gronk is at all. She doesn't know shit about sports. But like, I was like sniffing her beehole and stuff. Like we were getting extra freaky out there. And at one point, Gronk started backing it up on her, and she said she gave him a little like ba 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 ba, just like played the booty bongos real quick. Said it was a tight ass, which obviously he's like 6'7" and fucking jacked. But maybe the only
was Tom
Gronk
there?
No. I think the NFL players over there, there's who from the Colts who was like one of the nicest guy ever. I can't remember his name. Gronk was there. Jamie Collins, another former Patriot, was in the wedding. And then Glenn Dorsey, who's an LSU legend, who I did get to hang out with and catch up with, and that was great. But at one point, it does appear that Gronk maybe like ripped a pretty thick branch off of a tree and was in the middle of the dance floor going like, ah! Which I was telling Caitlin, I was like, I know you don't know like anything about that guy, but that's like the most stereotypical thing that you would expect to actually happen. But look, a ton of fun. Everybody danced their ass off all night long. Really fantastic. But unfortunately, I did not make best friends with Gronk. But my wife got to spank his ass. So,
I mean,
that's cool.
That's a win. That's a win for the T-Bobs.
Yeah, I agree. And not to brag, but
your ass is tighter, she said.
No, but I think like people were very impressed with my dance moves. I'm a fucking dog, dude.
I've seen the Goss swing. You got some hips, and we've all seen you almost your balls come out of your pants on the show about 2 weeks ago when you're doing crisscross applesauce. So we've seen the looseness.
I played 7 hours of golf. You would have been proud of me. We played an entire round of 18, and we just went really slow because at every rest stop, we were just sitting there drinking copious amounts of tequila and beers. And then the wives eventually bailed. So me and my buddies started taking 2 to 3 shots apiece. And then we'd be at the end of the hole, be like, that was a legit par. Even though we'd be ignoring the fact that like we, drove it 4 times until we got something solid. So it was a very, very fun trip overall, but I'm sorry, y'all, I did not become friends with
unfortunate.
I know.
You two seem like you'd be best friends.
That's what everybody said. I wish so. I don't know. But hey, we do have a great show for you planned today, and we're glad to be back. We had a full normal week this week. What is that? What is that comment that you just highlighted there?
Oh, that Captain Spartan over here, 04. Aaron finally had to try $5 bakery Saturday, and it was so good, almost like a sweet croissant with the 100 layers. It is phenomenal, T-Bob. 100-layer donuts.
Wow.
$5 bakery, yeah.
I do love a croissant. I had an
Mm-hmm.
excellent I had quite the culinary day, pretty clean the whole time I was in Mexico.
You
What's
look
up,
skinny,
CT?
by the way. You look
Thank
skinny.
you.
You
Thank
look
you.
real
You know,
skinny.
we're doing our intermittent fasting.
A lot of
Shout out
Pilates.
Evolve here in Baton Rouge. Been doing some more like burn classes. I did one Pilates class on that reformer machine, and that thing is fucked.
Oof.
My body, that exercises muscles that I am not used to
Mm-hmm.
exercising. But yeah, ate pretty clean in Mexico. Did not eat clean on the travel day yesterday. Got Panda at the airport. Followed that up
The burrito? Panda burrito?
No, I wish.
Oh.
No, I kept it chill. I just did a little bowl, single serving,
Okay.
single entree, single side bowl. But then I followed that up in Houston airport with a giant croissant sausage breakfast sandwich. And then me and my wife split ways because she was going to meet up with the kids in North Louisiana while I had to get home for work. And when I got home, I doubled up and ordered even more Chinese food. So yeah, I allowed myself a bit of a depraved MSG fueled travel day, and it was fantastic. All right, but we do have a lot to get to today. Brent Venables getting a contract extension from Oklahoma, which my initial reaction was like, "What the fuck?" But I think there's I'll give you an angle where I've come around on it a bit. And the bigger question I want to ask, if you know any Sooner fans, you want to get him in here, or it kind of has to do with last year. Was it a success or not? EA College Football 25 came out with their 25 toughest places to play, which will matter in the upcoming game. And as much as this pains me, I think we talk a bit about Alabama recruiting as going into the dead period. Kalen DeBoer had a pretty exciting finish, and all of a sudden Alabama recruiting looks like they're doing just fine. Heather Higginbottom says, "Go Vols." Yes, Aaron, in case you missed it, the Tennessee Volunteers, the baseball national champions, winning an exciting matchup, coming back from being down 1-0 in the championship series to beat the Texas A&M Aggies last night.
I'll give a quick go Vols because my brother-in-law played baseball at Tennessee. So,
really?
Yeah, there you go.
I'll say this because LSU fans hate Texas A&M, right?
Yeah.
I have a funny personal rivalry with Tennessee when it comes to baseball. This was truly a bad result for me, right? This is a lesser of two evils situation. From a kind of hate standpoint, I think this is what I'll say. I think this is actually the worst outcome for the rest of SEC baseball because I think that Tennessee is very powerful right now. And I think that the one thing holding them back was a lack of a ring. I mean, you look at Tony Vitello, the last 4 years, Tennessee's been to Omaha 3 times. The one time they didn't go, they were the number 1 regular season team by far, like record setting, and just blew it in the super regionals. So now you give that guy a natty ring. He breaks this Tennessee curse where they hadn't won a major national championship in forever. They have all the economic investment. They're doing $100 million renovations to the stadium. Like it's not good. Now, that said, last thing I'll say on baseball, the conference as a whole is batshit insane. You now
let me ask you that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because we've talked. Obviously, this is a football show, so we've talked ad nauseum about the movement to a point in our future where we're going to have the SEC and the Big Ten, and that's it. Two mega conferences in college football. AFC, NFC, NFL has now reached its way down to the college ranks. What would be more successful? Would it be that model, or would it be a baseball model with the SEC, ACC? Like, is the SEC that strong and has separated themselves that much from everyone else besides maybe the ACC, where you could see baseball saying, we want to go and just have these 2 conferences? What would make a better case?
I don't think it matters as much in baseball because you don't do too much intra-conference play in baseball anyway. I mean, it really does just come down to your 30 conference games and how you do
Mhm.
within those. And then, look, it's still exciting to have your teams from elsewhere. And then you just kind of let the chips fall where they may. Now, granted, where the chips fell and continue to fall are in the SEC and ACC. But
Mhm.
even then, the SEC is still more so. I think over the last 5 years, the SEC is like 17-3 in Omaha against non-SEC teams. Okay, so 5 national champions in a row for the SEC, all different teams. 6 of the last 7, all different teams. In fact, the one time they didn't win, Arkansas had a foul ball hanging in the air. If they catch it, they win the natty, and it dropped in the middle of 3 players. They end up blowing it. But had Arkansas caught that ball, you would have 7 different SEC national champions in a row, literally half the conference. So it is absurd the level that the SEC has achieved in baseball. But congratulations to the Volunteers and Andy J and Heather and all of our other wonderful loyal Snaps listeners who support the Vols. Rocky Top, enjoy this day for sure. For sure. Zach says, I feel like Aaron doesn't give a fuck about baseball. He doesn't.
I don't.
But it's summer and it's a natty. I figured we might as well mention
I
it.
sent a congratulations to my brother-in-law this morning,
Wow.
Yeah.
How incredibly thoughtful of you, Aaron.
I know.
How incredibly thoughtful.
All right, let's get the Venables.
All right, let's get to Venables then. And by the way, guys, as always, youtube.com/@snapcfb_. If you want to help grow the channel, hit the like button, subscribe. We're back on podcasts. Those will be uploaded. Thursdays was not because I did not show Aaron how to upload it, but I will upload it today. So we'll have 2 hit the feed today. But a huge thank you to everybody continuing us on this journey. And super chats should be enabled soon. Fingers crossed. If you want to help us continue to produce the show. All right. Let's go ahead and dive into the Brent Venables news, where over the weekend, Brent Venables was given a contract extension. He was given a 6-year, $46 million extension. I think he was signed already. He got a couple of years tacked on. It's after the 2029 season. He was due to make $7 million last year. The average annual value of the new contract is $8.5. He'll make a little over $8 this year. My initial reaction to this was head scratching. Right. I'm always someone who's felt like college. I don't understand why these colleges feel so pressured and rushed to give these coaches the extensions when their jobs aren't in any real trouble and when you're still not quite sure what you have. And I think about a couple major examples back in the day. I remember Les Miles getting extended in 2013 after like Arkansas kind of said that they were going to try to hire him, Jeff Long, who would go on to do so at Kansas. He basically used Arkansas as a launching pad for an extension at a time when you're like, is Miles really trending in the right direction? And no, it ended up creating a buyout so big that when you wanted to fire him, you literally couldn't because the state was out of money and it would have been an awful look. You think about the Jimbo extension, which again, wasn't that it was crazy numerically, but made more sense than Miles in that he was coming off a 9-1 year. Looked like A&M was going to ascend, be a playoff and title contender year after year. So my initial reaction was not good to this news. Aaron, what was your reaction when you first heard about Venables?
I mean, I think like most people, like what, but why? Like why now? Like why are we in such a rush? Are other teams out there using it against Brent Venables? Or other teams contacting Brent Venables? Is someone out there saying, you know what, Brent Venables only has 4 years left in his contract. You better be careful committing to Oklahoma because he may not be there if you didn't stay for 4 years. Like, I just don't get what you gain from signing him right now to waiting a year, seeing how things pan out in the SEC, and then deciding if you want to sign him for an extension at that point. Like, what do you truly gain right now that is any different than you're locked in this for him for 2 more years? I don't get the rush. Why are we always in such a rush to take someone from 4 years to 6 years? 4 years is a long damn time. It's a long damn time. I could get if there was like 2 years left, because you don't want to get to that last year before the final season. But 4 years, I would say you wait 1, if not 2 more years to see how things play on the SEC. then make a decision for the future. So I have nothing against Venables. Is he a good coach? Is he not a good coach? Honestly, I don't know. I think that is up in the air. You had one bad season. You had a really good season last year. You went 10-2. You're going to have a very difficult season. You and I broke this thing down about 2 weeks ago. So if you need to go see that, go back and watch it. We broke down Oklahoma's schedule and where we think they end up this year. Let it play out a little bit. 1 year. Like if they let it play out this year, because once again, Oklahoma's not hurting for money. If they go 9-3, do you think Venables is going to come back and say, I want $10 million a year? And could you not afford that at that point? And would you not feel good about giving him more? I don't know, man. I think it's a little bit too premature.
So I'm inclined to agree with you because, I mean, obviously, you know that I'm not really that much of a Venables believer, but I think there's a couple of key differences in kind of the extensions that I mentioned earlier, Les Miles and Jimbo Fisher, which again are just two that popped to the top of my mind, and what we're seeing here. In the Miles case, at that time at LSU, again, I don't think that Miles was actually had any sign that he was moving in the right direction. You could see regression. You could see players leaving the program, but it was the fact that a suitor came calling. They kind of went crazy about locking him up. In the Jimbo case, the problem was just the size monetarily of the deal and the buyout. Yep. And that's where I've kind of come around on this Brent Venables deal. Now, I have not been able to find super accurate buyout numbers, but just looking at the overall value of the contract, about $50 million, the buyout can't be that large. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's due the remainder or anything like that. And I should say, I say that relative to some of the insane numbers that we've gotten used to recently.
Well, let's not forget that we're getting to the point too where some of the money that these universities are getting are going to start going to the players here shortly. There's a stress among athletic directors and front offices in college football, the changing landscape and all this money there's a lot of money that's flowing around college football right now. You still have to try to keep up with facilities. You still have to try to keep up with the budget for recruiting and coaching staffs and everything else. And then now we're going to get to the point where money is going to be coming from the university to pay players. So yes, I am saying you do have to be more responsible with your money when you're signing these extensions with coaches. You just can't throw it around and say, okay, you know what? Fuck it. $50 million down the drain. We're Oklahoma. We can eat that. Well, guess what? $20 million is going to start coming out of your budget to pay the players on your roster starting next season.
So, okay, I'm going to visit that in 1 second. Gulf South says, T-Bob, you got Miles. You said Miles got to stay because Louisiana has state budget issue. I thought buyouts come for donors of the department. Yes, sorry. To expound on that, I'm not like it was more of the optics. It wasn't that the money literally came from the state, but you just had this huge fiscal deficit, and so to spend like $20 million at the time to pay a coach not to work was just going to be a really bad look, causing the governor to call LSU and be like, "Hey, y'all can't do this." Whatever. Back to what you were just saying, Aaron. I agree with you, but that's why I've kind of come around on the Venables extension a little bit. Is I actually don't think it's that much of a commitment. He went from making $7 million a year to $8 million. Mark Stoops makes $9 million.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what are we talking about here? So, like, for a school of Oklahoma's caliber to making $8 million a year is not that crazy. And when I look at the resume,
but why now? Like, do you think Venables was pressuring them to get an extension? Like, truly in your mind, like I just don't understand. We're a month away from fall camp starting. You still have 4 years left on your contract. You've been a head coach for 2 seasons. Only one of them have been successful. Why the rush from? I get Venables. Every coach wants more money. Every coach wants an extension. So I'm sure his camp is pressuring as much as they can. But like, if I'm Oklahoma, why am I feeling the heat?
I think it's an agent, kind of constantly in the school's head saying, look, we won 10 games last year. We beat Texas. I've turned in 3 top 10 recruiting classes in a row, or I'm on pace. I've done 2. I'm on pace to do a third. Statistically improved a lot last season. Coaches always play the recruiting stability card. I'm trying to recruit these cats and they need to know that I'm going to be here. And again, I think relative to college football coaching prices, this is actually a cheap deal.
Well, then I'll throw it back on Venables. Then, if we're saying it's such a cheap deal, then why is Venables tacking 2 more years onto his contract when if he does truly believe in himself and he believes in hey, we are going to have success next season. We have recruited well. We have guys. We have a 5-star quarterback that everyone's doubting. Everyone's calling me an idiot for letting Dylan Gabriel leave and go to Oregon. If I truly believe in myself and believe I should be getting paid more, why not wait a season, see if you can get to 8 or 9 wins? Because I do think if Venables gets, you bring up Mark Stoops, $9 million. If Venables gets to 8 or 9 wins next season, I think he could at that point come back to them and say, hey, I want $9+ million a year. I just got us 8, 9 wins year one. Kentucky's paying Stoops $9 million. I did better than him year one in this conference. I want 9 to 10.
Well,
Was he too premature?
I think no. I think the wonderful truth about being a college coach is he gets to do that anyway. Right? I mean, that's what we see time and time again is that these coaches.
But then what does the university have to say next year then? They're like, no, we just signed you last year. You have 5 more years on your contract. What is he going to do at that point?
Threaten to take another job if another big job comes open.
Ain't no one fucking coming after him.
Unless he does well, right? Unless in this scenario in which he does very well in the first year in the SEC.
Yeah, but if he gets to say double-digit wins, then I think it's a legit. I think at that point you get back-to-back double-digit win seasons. The second one's in the SEC with a gauntlet of a schedule. Then I would be fine with Oklahoma saying, you know what? You've done it two of your first 3 years. You've did it in the best conference in America. You did it with that schedule. I am more than happy to come back to the table, Brent Venables, and discuss making you a $10 million plus coach. But if he wins $8 million, he does not have a leg to stand on to go back to them and say, hey, I want to get paid more dollars when I have 5 years left of my contract.
I mean, I guess, but Jimbo had already gotten an extension when they went 9-1, right? And they got another mega extension, or at least already had a mega 10-year deal that didn't have time running out on it at all. And yet they went 9-1, and Jimmy Sexton was able to go back and get him a massive raise. Like, I think if he has success in the SEC, the raise will come regardless of if he took it this year or not. Maybe you're right, though. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the school is thinking, well, if we lock him up here now at this cheap price and he does really well, he won't be able to negotiate a higher price. I'd say probably that's not the case, but time will tell.
It's the problem with college football. I'm just saying, at the end of the day, money is going to be tight. I have talked with multiple people at different universities, and a lot of them have said, we are glad we have taken care of certain items and knocked that off the list because it's going to get tighter going forward.
It's going to get tighter, but again, this is not actually a tight number for Oklahoma. It is not stressing them to pay $8 million. Like, they are getting a steal compared to other SEC schools. Kentucky is much more feeling the squeeze. I'm just using Stoops as kind of the classic example here. But Kentucky is much more feeling the squeeze, having to pay Stoops $9 million a year and then come up with the money to pay all of their athletes. And we got an Oklahoma fan here in the chat, Richard Yellowhawk, says, when Dylan left, Dylan Gabriel, also, Oklahoma fans are like, way to go, Dylan. You're the right man at the right time. Good luck in Oregon, when we should have been like, get it back. Well, look, that remains to be seen. Okay. That's the other part about this. One of my other initial reactions when I heard about Venables being extended before I knew about the money, when I figured it was like a big mega extension, was that like maybe there's just something I don't know. Like, in that building, they really believe in what he could do. So, like, in that same way, Venables obviously really believes in Jackson Arnold, and who has seen more of Jackson Arnold than Venables in that staff? Nobody. So I agree. To me, it looks crazy outside looking in, watching the guy who was the best quarterback in the Big 12 last year, and Dylan Gabriel, walk and go to Oregon for somebody who's an unknown.
But no, I think you're reading it completely wrong. I think George has this right in the chat, and this is what I've told you before. It wasn't. I don't think this was a staff decision saying, we think this guy is better than this guy. I think this is a staff decision saying this guy has the potential to be better, and we want him to be our starting quarterback for the next 3 years. While Dylan Gabriel,
but
you're betting on the future. But I'm saying, like, it to
no, but we're
me,
saying the same things though, because he's still
you need
saying
success year one though in the SEC.
I agree, but I'm just telling Yellowhawk that he's still like it's not a 100% that it was the wrong choice on Dylan Gabriel. And yes, like
It was
like
it's a tough decision. It's a very tough decision.
We're saying the same thing. The staff is betting on Arnold, and I'm saying to Yellowhawk, who has seen more of him than the staff.
No,
right. So like I'm offering opinion outside looking in saying, ooh, that feels crazy. But again, the staff seen Arnold in practice. They know his habits, his talent, and they view the ceiling as being potentially higher.
If he came to me and said, Coach, I'm leaving if I'm not the starting quarterback next year, I would do the same thing. I would go to Dylan and say, I appreciate you. Thank you for helping us get the 10 wins. But we're going to put this young man in a position to go be our starting quarterback next year.
Let's look at his resume thus far. Actually, here's my question, because we got some Oklahoma fans chatting again. Like guys, like the video, share the video. Here's my question to Oklahoma fans: was last year a success? Because I think it is maybe the single most fascinating season that anybody in the entirety of college football had. In that, in so many ways, it should be considered an unqualified success.
Mm-hmm.
You went from 6-7 to 10-3, including 10 regular season wins. Like, let's just say 10-2, because the bowl game, you were never going to win that thing. No. 5 new starting linemen, new quarterback. Like, that's just a super shitty hand to be dealt. So 10-2 with a Texas win after going 6-7. That should be an unqualified success. But you should have held Texas out of the playoff.
Mm-hmm.
If you had taken care of your business, not only should you have beaten your rival, you should have stopped them from winning the Big 12 on the way out. You should have stopped them from making the playoff. So is the pain of blowing it against Oklahoma State and Kansas, does that loom large enough to erase what otherwise should have been? We should be saying, my God, Venables made a massive leap from year one.
No, I don't think so.
From 3-6 in the Big 12 to 7-2 in the Big 12.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, it's not ideal. Don't get me wrong. I mean, that team should have been 11-1 and hell, a playoff team. I mean, they were right there. They go and win that conference. They're in the playoffs at 12-1. So I think that stings a little bit. Obviously, then at that point, Venables is asking for $10+ million, and you're giving them every damn penny for doing that in year 2. And this is a non-discussion at the point. So I still think Oklahoma fans walk away from last season 10-2, beating Texas, who was a playoff team, who had all that star power, and you said that was a successful season. And you've brought up multiple times too, T, the fact that they're recruiting really damn well.
Yeah,
they're recruiting really damn well. So he's bringing in the talent. I just worry that we always judge a coach by year 3. We did the same thing there with Brian Kelly at LSU. What do you do in year 3? Is year 3? That's what we've talked about this. What do you do this season? Is this the big year, the big jump, where you've now had the opportunity to build recruiting classes? You've had the opportunity to change the culture. Mm-hmm. Can you make that massive step? I want to see what year 3 looks like. This is when it should all be coming together. And for me, I feel like we're going to see a step back, and then the questions are going to start coming out some more.
I agree that year 3 is the year, but to back it up, if you're saying that last year was a success and then using the definition, all the reasons why, then to me, that feels worthy of $1 million extension or $1 million raise, right? Like I actually don't think Oklahoma's and trust me, my initial reaction was, what the fuck? Why do schools do this? This is so stupid.
That's my biggest issue.
But after talking it out, I get where Oklahoma's coming from. Like, I actually think that given the market This is not a fiscally crazy decision. Again, a lot of this will hinge on when we get the actual buyout numbers.
Mhm.
I can't imagine it's a sweetheart deal like Brian Kelly has, where basically if he ever gets fired, the entire remainder of the contract is due as a buyout. I would think it's probably at like 20 or something going in next year, but you're not going to move on Venables after next year anyway. So that makes sense.
Can we
So a
all
couple
make fun of
people in-
T-Bob for being the ultimate bandwagon fan over here with his Florida Panthers jersey on, by the way?
What are you talking about, dude? Go
Look at this guy.
Cats. Look, bro, if you never cheer, you don't remember being 7 years old in 96 when they went on that initial finals run?
Yep.
You don't remember the Pavel Bure years watching the
Mm.
Russian rocket fly up and down and win scoring titles, excuse me? I mean, get the fuck out of here, dude. If you don't remember the pain of leading the league in points, only get dominated by the Lightning, the pain of making it to the finals last year, only to lose to the Knights, and then come back a year later, get up against the Rose, Game 7 dub, Barkov, Bobrovsky, go Cats.
Let's talk about this.
Actually, guys, wait, to be really clear, I have a Panthers jersey on. Shout out Bilbo Baggins, who's always who's one of our moderators. He gave it to me like 2 years ago. I know nothing about the Panthers.
Han Solo, isn't success going to be different?
Sorry.
Isn't success going to be different now that the playoff has been expanded? Does success mean they're in playoffs because the bar is lower? I still think anytime you get in the playoffs, that's a successful season.
Yeah, because you're.
I don't care if you. Yeah, I don't give a shit if you lose the first round. If you make the playoffs, that's a successful season for any college football team going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. If you win 10 regular season games, that puts you in the playoffs, and that is 100% a successful season. Again, my other question to Oklahoma fans, okay, was last year a success? But now you are getting at what I would ask next is, how will you measure success going forward in the SEC? Because we are used to, like, that is a fan base that is basically for the last 2 decades been used to winning the conference every single year. And that's obviously not going to happen anymore.
So I guess my question is,
I was not reading notes on that Panther rant, by the way.
How often do they need to make the playoffs for them to be, or what are you anticipating? Like, we've talked about this before with other teams, like
for Tennessee fans to be happy.
1 every 3 years, 1 every 4 years. Is that good enough?
The problem is everybody thinks they should be about 50%.
50 is unrealistic besides a handful of teams. Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State. That's about it.
I mean, all it's going to take is a top 3 finish in your conference pretty soon here.
Yeah. You say that like it's an easy thing to do.
No, but I say that like, why wouldn't Oklahoma fans expect that after what they've lived like their entire existence?
Because now you're in a conference with Georgia and Alabama, and Texas is playing as good as they've played in the past 2 decades.
So they have better resumes than all those schools.
In a lesser conference.
LSU thinks they should be 50% every year because they've won natties and everything. But if we just look at their record, I think they would have made it at like a 25% rate or something along those lines. So I don't know. I mean, I guess an Oklahoma fan would have to answer that. I think 1 of every 3 years. I would say 1 of every 3 years is kind of the level-headed answer there, but even that feels a bit unrealistic in this more competitive scene. So I don't know what Oklahoma fan. I mean, what do we think? Venables is 16-10 thus far. He went from 6-7 to 10-3. He's 0-2 in bowl games. They did show some improvement. They scored 33 points a game year 1. That went up to 42, which went from 33 to number 4 in the country. Now you lose Levy and Gabriel. That's probably going to go down. Defensively, you go from giving up 30 points a game to 23. That's really the side of the ball that he has to get right. He has to make the defensive side of the ball the strength of this team for me to be a believer in him. And I got to see what happens offensively post Levy.
Yeah. 1 of 4. I think if most teams are in it 1 of 4, they should be happy. But I agree. I think schools like Oklahoma, LSU, they expect more of 1 of 3. And I would say Oklahoma fans expect 1 of every 2.
And Georgia fans expect 100.
They do.
And so do Alabama.
So do Alabama fans.
So have fun with that.
Mm-hmm.
That said, Alabama looks like they may be just fine keeping pace with that because, look, Kalen DeBoer's recruiting remains very, very good. What's I can't remember what it's from, but the old saying like the rumors of my death have been greatly exaggerated.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the rumors of Alabama recruiting death have been greatly exaggerated. Again, I don't think they'll ever hit the, like number one class multiple years in a row, but they're going to continue to be top 5. And in fact, you look right now, they're top 5, trending towards top 3. In the last month alone, they flipped a 4-star quarterback from SMU, which doesn't sound as impressive until you realize that Keelan Russell was just the MVP of the Elite 11 camp. They get a 4-star running back in Anthony Rogers, 1-star quarterback in Chuck McDonald. They flipped, what's his name? He's an interior offensive lineman. I'm blanking, but he was committed to Georgia. He decommitted. It looked like LSU was moving in on him. He's now shut down his commitment. He's going to Alabama. They have 3 different 5-stars that are trending Alabama. Offensive tackle Ty Haywood, who's the number 9 player nationally. Wide receiver Caleb Cunningham, who's number 15. Quarterback Dijon Lee, who's number 30. And again, this is a Kalen DeBoer that took over a Washington program that was 4-8, 4-8 the year he took over. And then he went 25-3, 10-1 against ranked teams.
It's still the big brand. Alabama is one of the biggest brands in college football. Alabama was a playoff team last year. Alabama has facilities. Alabama has an incredible stadium. Alabama has incredible support. And Kalen DeBoer himself was just in the national championship. So you said it well in the sense of like, will it ever be what Nick Saban did for 15 years, where every year it wasn't just having the number 1 recruiting class, but like it was at times a gigantic margin of the guys that he was getting compared to anyone else in the country? No, but will I be surprised if Alabama's a top 5 recruiting class over the next 5 to 10 years as that brand is still as strong as it's been? No, I won't be surprised.
Here's the hot take question. Is Kalen DeBoer a better X's and O's coach than Nick Saban?
What side of the football?
Nick Saban's obviously an elite defensive mind. DeBoer's an elite offensive mind.
Very different.
But Saban's greatness, I believe, like we talked about, remember we talked about most impactful football teams in college football history, and some of it was like through scheme. Saban's impact was really through organization, through being the CEO of a just perpetual success machine that literally started to power itself, right? You get the best players, so you win championships. Because you win championships, you get the best players. And he figured out how to build the organization top to bottom to do that. Now he was willing to adapt. And that was another great trait. His adaptability was second to none. Hiring of coaches was really great as well. But
he was on the front. He was on the front. He was at the beginning of all that. Like he's the one who started the trend of as our boy Rick Neweyes like to say, the halfway house for coaches that get fired, go to Alabama, spend a year or two under Nick Saban, then go on their way and go somewhere else. Like he was the inventor of that, of the major budget to bring in coaches to have special quote unquote projects. I will say this though,
exactly. So if you lose a little bit, go ahead.
Let me say this: Nick Saban had. You walk into a recruit's room and Nick Saban sits down and says, here's an offer from Alabama. He's the greatest coach of all time. He's put more NFL draft picks, guys in the NFL, all the first rounders, all the Heisman Trophy winners, all the All-Americans. It's hard to say no. But you know what? Just like we've heard about Bill Belichick in New England, same thing of Alabama. It is very difficult to be a player at Alabama under Nick Saban as much as it was difficult to be a player in New England under Bill Belichick. It is no bullshit. It is you do what I say. You go to bed when I say you go to bed. You eat what I say you eat. You train the way I want you to train. He is a dictator. And it worked. It was phenomenal. In today's game, and not saying it didn't work because obviously it worked last year, their playoff team. Kalen DeBoer and what he's done in the building, making it more on the players to be responsible, and the way that he runs the program, very different than Saban, may be better in today's game.
It might jive a bit better with
which is why you may not be seeing a huge decrease in recruiting.
Bo Kenny says, is T-Bob suggesting DeBoer knows ball better than Nick Saban? I guess I'm just wondering, if you look at what DeBoer, and it's weird because we don't have any great examples of Saban doing more with less, because he always recruited at such an elite level anywhere he was at. So maybe this is just completely unfair framing, but again, nobody has gotten more out of their talent than Kalen DeBoer has, any coach in the country, full stop. Like, nobody over improved the talent on the roster or outperformed the talent on the roster, whether it was
you say that
at Fresno or Washington.
They just had a first-round quarterback, receiver, the offense line that just won the Joe Moore Award. So you can say all you want that, like, oh my God, Washington didn't have the talent last year. Washington was a very talented football team. Best offensive line, Heisman Trophy contending quarterback at the end of the day.
They weren't the best offensive line. You know that for a fact.
I know they weren't, but they were. Supposedly the people that know offensive line play better than I do.
They weren't the best offensive line. They're very good. Don't get me wrong, they played the national championship, but I mean, go look at blue chip ratio. They weren't even close to that 50%. Like, yeah, they had some highlights. But how many of those highlights?
Three guys drafted in the first round? Drafted in the first round?
Yes, but how many of that? How much of that is because of the situations also that Caleb DeBoer is putting them in? Look at what Michael Penix and Caleb DeBoer did with each other when they were teamed up with one another. You think Michael Penix Jr. is a first-round pick without Caleb DeBoer? I don't know. Maybe. I don't think so. I guess my thing is, you've taken a Caleb DeBoer who I think, again, outperformed every coach in the country in terms of raising the level of his players. And if he had a weakness that was recruiting, you've literally given him the greatest recruiting machine that we've ever seen. And so maybe framing it like, is he a better X's and O's coach than Nick Saban? It doesn't even matter. The thing is, you've maybe taken what could be argued as objectively the best X's and O's coach in the game, and you've now given him the best organization in the game that was created by the man that's how he became the greatest coach of all time.
Like, I doubt that he went in there and gutted the staff. No, I'm not talking about coaches. I'm talking about the recruiting staff, the video staff. Yeah, like all that's there. I mean, everyone that has learned to recruit their asses off every single weekend during the offseason, in season, of how to excite players to come to Alabama, that blueprint is still there. So yes, you take a coach who is demonstrated that he can coach his ass off and win football games and take teams to a national championship that don't have even close to the blue chip ratio of Alabama, and you insert him into a situation that is perfectly set up for him to have success, which is why he has a nice runway. Like, Alabama shouldn't have a drop-off anytime soon. There is a incredible runway that he has landed into that, unless he completely jacks it up, at least have success for the first handful of seasons.
Well, and again, the recruiting's not falling off. No. They're right there. They're number 3 in the country in the 25 class. And they're trending with 3 5-stars to get him. So, like, that's the whole point of this conversation is, and I feel so odd that my life has come to this point where I'm the guy talking about how to watch out for Alabama, and like you and Jake are kind of telling me like, well, I don't know, they're missing weapons. And they are missing weapons, to be fair, this year, for sure. But whatever. You know this from fucking day one.
What do we have them? Do we have them at 10-2?
From day one.
10-2?
Nick Saban, yes, we had them 10-2.
Okay.
From day one, let's see, let me make sure. We had Alabama at 10-2, losing to UGA, which they have in Bryant Denny, and I'm not 100% sold on, but whatever. We had them losing to UGA, and then we had them losing one of at Tennessee, at LSU, home Mizzou, at OU, Iron Bowl. Just dropping one of those other games. It still feels pretty realistic. But yeah, I don't know. It sucks, man. I don't know if Alabama's going to be too shitty anytime soon. Now that
Probably
Kalen
not.
DeBoer's proven he can recruit well.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. And let's not forget the team that we are all high on, Texas, and Steve Sarkisian, who has beat him 2 straight years, back-to-back times.
Yeah,
Kalen DeBoer.
remember. Yeah. Let me look for where was it? There was he's 7-0 against Steve Sarkisian, Dan Lanning, and one other great coach that we all, like, here it is. Yeah, Kalen DeBoer 7-0 against Dan Lanning, Steve Sarkisian, and Lincoln Riley. And that's
pretty damn good.
That's who they hired. So
I mean, 2 wins against Oregon, and I picked Oregon to win both those games last year.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't like it. It concerns me, even though that may be wrong. Did USC beat Washington 2 years ago in the regular season? Is he actually 6-1? Let me see. You ever get on Winsipedia?
No.
Winsipedia is the best college football site for checking out rivalries. It has these great little graphics. It can tell you like largest margin victory, longest win streak for each team. It shows you year by year who all won.
No, they lost to UCLA and Arizona State 2 years ago.
Okay, so they did not. So he is 7-0 then. Damn. Damn. That is that's crazy. I'm not happy about it. All right, last thing. The EA College Football 25 right around the corner, coming out.
Wait. Do we want to do record predictions today?
No, let's
let's say, do you want to save this for Thursday? Do record predictions?
Yeah, who are we doing record predictions for today?
Missouri and Arkansas, baby. The battle for the boot.
Okay. Actually, the battle for the boot is LSU and Arkansas, and it's a golden boot pitch.
What is it, for the state line? Is it the state line trophy?
It is a beautiful, massive, outline of the borders of LSU and Arkansas, and it is jagged and dangerous, and I love it. What up, Aaron? Let's see here real quick. Nicholas Hall says, I think anyone who believes Saban was only great because he recruited well, or people who don't know ball. Saban only gets beat by all-time great teams. Anything less than will smoke you. Yeah, it's not this. I don't want to say that Saban. That's probably what it actually sounded like I was saying.
It did.
Is that Saban's only great because of recruiting. What I'm saying is why he became the all-time great, though, was organizational competence, which is recruiting, which is adaptability, willingness to change overall philosophies and styles. It's being ahead of the curve with hiring out shadow staff and creating this sort of coaching halfway recovery house. None of this to say is that he's not a good a good on game day coach. But what are y'all telling me that you don't agree that before the game was played that he'd already won 90% of the time?
Oh, it was 90, 95.
That's what I'm saying. Before the ball was ever fucking snapped.
The game was done. The game was over.
You tell me, oh, Saban only gets beat by all-time great teams. Okay. Why is that? Because his team is more complete and put together and better prepared than all the other teams. And that all goes to coaching. That's not taking away anything. So you can fuck off telling me that's stupid, Aaron Murray. You're fucking stupid. Sorry.
You're fucking stupid.
Yeah. Guess what? I fucking know. I was sniffing my wife's butthole in the middle of a dance floor 2 days ago.
I finally got into it. That's good for you. About damn time.
I was like, whenever my wife starts to grind in front of me, I like to do like a little zombie walk while I'm like staring at her butt. Gulf South. We all remember the 2007 ULM team, one of the greatest collection of college teams of all time. All right, let's go to our record predictions. We will start with Mizzou. We'll do our EA Sports 25 hardest places to play coming up on Thursday's show. Then where is okay? I'll do it on this one.
It's a tough schedule. Pay man $8 million to go do that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Somebody was trying to say that Oklahoma is a normal SEC schedule, and I get what they were trying to get at, but again, it's about where Oklahoma played as much as anything else, but I don't think so. All right, let's get into this. So here are your Mizzou Tigers on a year in which, they're kind of everybody's sweethearts coming off of an incredible year last year. How we play this game is game by game. Choose your for sure wins, your for sure losses, and your toss-up games. So they start with Murray State at home. That's a dub. Buffalo at home. That's a dub. Boston College at home. That's a win. Vanderbilt at home. That's a win. Easy 4-0 start. But then to Texas A&M.
That's a toss-up.
Toss-up.
A toss-up.
It is an absolute toss-up.
Why are they going to UMass?
I don't know. That's a very good question. So we have our first. By the way, I have it on good authority, and this is not from me talking to Coach himself, though I do love this man. But I have it on good authority that Tommy Moffitt, strength coach, former LSU strength coach, is now the strength coach at A&M. Tommy Moffitt thinks he's inherited a group of fucking dogs. Allegedly, he said this may be the best linebacker group he's ever coached in his life in terms of just a freakishly athletic group, and he thinks they're going to win 10 games for him, whatever that's worth.
Okay.
Okay, so at A&M, by the way, College Station, Kyle Field, I should say, College Station, the number one hardest place to play, according to College Football 25.
Nice.
At UMass, very funny, but that's a win.
I'll say Auburn's a win.
Yeah, Auburn's a win for sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're up to 6 auto wins. At Alabama, loss. At home against Oklahoma, toss up. At South Carolina, win. So 7-1 with 2 toss-ups now. At Mississippi State, win. 8-1. And then Arkansas at home against Arkansas, that's a win. So are we at 9?
9.
9 wins on the schedule?
9, 1, and 2. 9 wins, 1 loss, 2 maybes. So they just got to win one of them, and they're in the playoffs.
Wow.
They got to beat A&M at home, or you have to beat A&M on the road. Excuse me, at A&M, or you have to beat Oklahoma at home. Which is coming off a bye. So you play Alabama, get a bye, and then play Oklahoma at home.
What other games are we guilty of?
No, they have one of the easiest schedules in America.
Yeah.
We're not guilty of all. Like, we've talked about this. Like, there is a difference between Oklahoma's schedule and Missouri's schedule. And same thing could be said about Ole Miss's schedule when we go through it.
I mean, I don't know. 2 UMass October 12th, dude.
Yeah.
It's tough. Yeah.
If there would be one more trip-up game in your mind, what would it be? Auburn?
I'm between Auburn and at Mississippi State. Maybe like Jeff Levy's team at home late in the year, getting a little frisky. Auburn,
maybe Missouri.
Auburn, no, it's Auburn.
Yeah,
Auburn has the most talent.
Maybe Missouri at that point. Mississippi State game, they're looking ahead to the rivalry game to Arkansas. You only have 2 losses, so you're kind of saying, "Oh my God, we're a fucking playoff team because we're gonna have 10 wins," and maybe you just had one of those weeks and it all comes crumbling down. Maybe, but. You have a veteran quarterback. You have a really good receiving core. It's a good football team and a pretty lax schedule.
Yeah, that's saying good. It is a good football team, and a lax schedule is kind of the key there. No Georgia on that schedule. No Texas.
So are you willing to say 10-2? Go back to our list because
the only problem is if we go 10-2, we're starting a little crowded because we have Texas 10-2, we have Bama 10-2, we have UGA 11-1. Can you have 4 10-win teams? We got LSU and Tennessee at 9-3.
Don't forget we have Ole Miss at 10-2 too.
And we have Ole Miss at 10-2. So no, I feel like we almost have to say 9-3. But then again, no, because there's no crossover.
There's no crossover
with any of those teams.
They're not. I mean, obviously Alabama plays Missouri, but like that's the crazy thing. A lot of these elite teams aren't facing each other.
Yeah, so Mizzou doesn't even play Ole Miss
or
Tennessee, LSU. No, I'm looking at the other kind of teams in the tier that we talked
What's I'm
about that are
saying?
going to be trying
Texas.
to
They don't
fight for
play
that
Texas
stuff.
either.
No, I know. That's what I said. I said no
Yeah.
Texas and no Georgia on
Okay.
here. That's great. No, I'm talking about the other 9-10 win teams.
Yes.
Remember, we have that grouping that we talked about. They don't play Ole Miss. They don't play Tennessee. They don't
play Texas. They don't play Georgia.
Is it possible for them all to go 10-2? We'll do okay. Without just because I don't want to just sit here and repeat ourselves the whole time. We'll say 10-2. I'll put a tentative 10-2 right now, and I want to dive in and think if we're missing something. Yeah. Is it possible that they could all do this? I don't know how we would check against that. This is where we need somebody who's good at Excel.
Yeah.
Emil says this Ole Miss 10-win talk is so ridiculous. It's actually not if you listen to the when we broke down the Ole Miss schedule.
Mm-mm.
It kind of makes all the sense in the world. Especially if they fix their offensive line. Like, again, if you look right here, where's the Ole Miss losses? Georgia, same way. No Alabama, no Texas on this schedule.
No Tennessee.
Where's the tough games? They get Oklahoma at home. At Ole Miss is sketchy.
At LSU.
Sorry, that's what I meant. At LSU is sketchy. But, like, outside of that, it's nobody. Easy.
I mean, you have two toss-up games. You have LSU and Oklahoma.
So, Emil, you say 9-3. Show me the 3 losses. Here.
He's saying LSU, Oklahoma, Georgia.
Well, then, I mean, Oklahoma is the one that fucks up everything in our predictions.
Yeah,
because
six.
Well, we keep having them lose. But if they do well, then all of these teams that have Oklahoma as their toss-up game, all of a sudden they get knocked out of contention. So there's probably there's not as we do this exercise, I think what we're learning is there's not a bigger swing team in the entirety of the SEC that could affect everybody as much as the Oklahoma Sooners.
Damn, Fonzie.
What would Fonz say? That's racist.
She is good at Excel, but damn.
All right. Let's get into Arkansas then. Going to be a tough year for Sam Pittman and company. Do you think that Bobby Petrino finishes as the Arkansas coach?
Coach? I hope not. I love Sam Pittman. He may be one of my favorite coaches in the league. Does he finish off? 60% says yes.
George says y'all sleeping on Kentucky? Yeah, like a fucking baby in 2,000 thread count sheets. Okay, God damn it. Show me something, Kentucky. I know Mizzou's the show me state, but like do something. You know what? Please let Mark Stoops. My goal for Kentucky and Mark Stoops is to beat one team in the SEC that finishes with a winning record. If you do that
on Thursday,
it'll be the only Thursday. If they do that, it'll be only be the third time they've done it in the Mark Stoops era. So here's to hoping. Okay. Arkansas opens with Arkansas Pine Bluff win at Oklahoma State. I kind of got that as a for sure loss.
Give it a toss up. Just because there's gonna be a lot of there's gonna be a lot of for sure losses. So let's just...
I don't care. Look at Oklahoma State returning production.
Okay. Fine.
Remember we looked at this the other day?
Yeah, I know it's true. It's a lot. Best running back in the country.
They have the best running back in the country, Ollie Gordon. It's fucking Gundy, who always Oklahoma State returns 77% of their production. They return, I believe it's like all 10 starters offensively or all 11 maybe. Yeah, no, I got that. I'm saying Arkansas is garbage.
Yeah. Okay.
Arkansas is not good. That's a for sure loss.
All right. UAB
at Oklahoma State. Yeah, UAB win.
So 2 at Auburn loss.
You don't want to do toss up there?
No.
Okay.
At A&M.
Georgia Cats are always scared of Auburn. So funny to me. At A&M.
I just don't playing at Auburn.
Well, actually, is that at A&M or is that going to be the they always play that in Jerry World?
Yeah. I don't care. A&M.
A&M wins that every year, but that's always insane. Like Arkansas finds ways to lose. That should be a toss-up if we look at how that series normally goes, dude.
I'm going A&M.
You're saying for sure loss?
If you're going to tell me Oklahoma State's a for sure loss, I'm taking A&M's for sure loss.
You don't think that Oklahoma State has potential to be a better team than A&M next
I
year
do.
when they consistently better? They consistently win more
I'll take
games.
your boys' word that they're going to be a 10-win team.
I'm just saying, a little disrespectful to Gundy and co, but whatever, that's fine. All right. Tennessee loss.
LSU loss.
Yeah.
Mississippi State toss up.
Mississippi State. Yeah, probably not a win. Ole Miss loss.
Texas loss.
Yeah, getting a lot of these games at home, but
La Tech
is going to help. La Tech win.
Missouri
at
loss.
Mizzou loss. So if we don't, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for sure losses if we don't move any of those into the toss up. So already we're starting at 3-8 with a toss up against Mississippi State. We have, I don't believe that we have a single SEC win on here for them.
What do we have Mississippi State at? What was their final record? 5-7.
5-7.
So I'm guessing we picked them to beat Arkansas. So 3-9.
3-9, 0-8 in the SEC. The only way they can avoid it is if they beat State. I mean, who's the quarterback going to be? Brian Hall says Oklahoma State's like the team that'll show up when you don't know it. Is a running back beast? Yes, they've Ollie Gordon Jr. come back. He's the best running back in the country. And again, they're returning everybody from a team that Oklahoma State played in the Big 12 championship last year, beat Oklahoma. But you think Arkansas is going to be a toss-up? Bitch, no. In Oklahoma State, fuck out of
here. Damn. Sorry, Sam. Let's do Kentucky and A&M on Thursday.
Okay, sounds good. Coming up this Thursday on Snaps, we'll do our Kentucky and Texas A&M record predictions, and we will look at the EA College Football 25 Stadium rankings, where we agree or disagree. Also, Steve Sarkisian had submitted. I couldn't get it. I didn't get to fully flesh out my thoughts on it or read all the articles, so I didn't put it in today's show. But Sark had some interesting comments on being a head coach and still a play caller, and kind of what it requires. Is he's one of the few that's kind of still doing it, so we can get to that as well. But bottom line, thank you all so much for hanging out with us. Please hit the like button, subscribe, rate and review it, share with your friends wherever you get podcasts. Help us to continue to grow the show so we can keep doing this thing. We love you, and we'll see you on Thursday. Oh, and look for 2 podcast episodes going up today. But we love you. We'll see you on Thursday for a brand new episode of Snaps. Lady, y'all.